Despite what their moms told them, they just aren't talented enough for radio. Unfortunately, anyone can have a show these days. Sean.
Well, I'm pretty hard to figure out sometimes. In fact, I can't even figure myself out sometimes, so don't you try to.
Joe.
You're an idiot. And really a disloyal person.
This is the Cuse Militia. Those two unapologetically biased, orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe.
It's the most bullshit thing I've seen in 30 years.
Welcome, orange men and ladies. Happy Tuesday. This is the Cuse Militia with Sean and Joe for the Believe Entertainment Network at Cuse Militia on the socials. Go there, join the Militia live on X Spaces for the fan feedback segment of the post-game shows. And we're here to talk about Stanford. After a week off, a bye week for Syracuse means a bye week for us, and we've got a primetime game on Friday night, 7:30 in the Dome. So that's going to be fun. Something to look forward to when you're, clocking out or clocking in for work. If you're me, which I don't clock in, but I'll be thinking about it when I get there. And there's nothing like a nice weekend nighttime game, especially when it's your team. Like, I look forward to all of the college games on Friday night, and it's usually some teams that we don't care about most of the time, but it's still, college football on a Friday night. But it's Syracuse this time, so.
Well, not this past Friday, Sean. I mean, with UNLV playing Kansas, that game is becoming more and more scary. That quarterback's the truth. And Kansas, they were top 20 preseason ranked, which obviously looking at Florida State doesn't mean a damn thing. But nonetheless, I saw a pop-up that right now UNLV is got the second best percentage of making a college football playoff is a non-Power 4. Because obviously one of the spots for the 12 spots in college football goes to the highest rated non-Power 4 team. And behind Boise State is UNLV. So,
well, just the whole premise of that game being that it's Syracuse's first road game going all the way to the West Coast and playing at night is a huge disadvantage, just for starters.
Yep, that late too.
So, thanks for pissing on my parade of the night game love. But I'm still going to look forward to it. It doesn't matter. I mean, I think Syracuse is up for the challenge. Now, the next 2 weeks is kind of like a
status quo.
Yeah, kind of like dipping your toes in the water and still kind of, figuring things out. And, with everything surrounding Marlo Wax, I guess I'm not sure if I feel like he's going to be back by the UNLV game or not. But with that said, I don't think so either. But with that said, it's kind of... I feel like it's kind of chalk, if you don't mind me saying, up until that point, I think it's fair to say. So, and, you kind of breezed over Florida State. I mean, they suck. Okay. They're really bad. And, call a spade a spade. Huh?
I don't know the next time they win a game. Maybe Charleston Southern, second to last game. I don't know.
I mean, Memphis would be the one I would have picked first before that. So, they
figured they would have had one before Memphis. But
well, true. I mean, you got California, who's tough, like you mentioned, I think, before we went on the air. And then Clemson, obviously, and I don't know what Duke is right now either. And so,
yeah, it's a close game to UConn, so I don't know either. But
yeah, and I'm not in the business of rooting for UConn. Okay, just to be clear. Not in the business of that. But, I mean, I found myself a little bit there during that game. Okay, for obvious reasons. So, anyway. It'll be interesting to see the way the landscape sets up for the ACC kind of like once this is a little more established. I would really like to see... Do what?
It's tough. It's tough after only 2 or 3 weeks, right?
Well, I told you need 4 weeks. You need 4, and that's because when most of the non-conference games are being played, very little in-conference games are being played, and you can't grasp it until after the 4th week, in my opinion. Now, with that said, I would go ahead. I would rather have 2 more conference games and eliminate 2 of these other non-conference games if it was up to me. I think it adds more excitement.
Conferences are getting bigger.
Yeah, and that's all the more reason, obviously, to go ahead and do that. So, right. And I got, I was just thinking at work today about super conference stuff, and we've talked about it before. That's a whole nother episode, and maybe during a bye week we'll visit that. But anyway, it's inevitably heading there, and we've kind of touched on it. But with that said, I think we should eliminate some of these non-conference games, seeing that we're adding teams to these major conferences. And before long, we're going to have 2 big conferences, and it's going to be for all the marbles. Yeah. So anyway.
Pretty much. I mean, dude, look, at the end of the day, we think we know what we think about Stanford and obviously Holy Cross. Like, we talk about it every year. It's staying healthy and evolving, right? And that's the one thing that I just want to continue to see, even if we are playing maybe 2 teams that we think we should be able to beat based upon what we've seen. Like, we've seen it in the past where it takes a little while for teams to get the tape and to pick up on what's working. And then when they do, then we don't have answers because we haven't evolved or because we had injuries. So those 2 to me are like the biggest thing. Like, we can't just rest on our laurels because what we've done earlier in the season has worked. And now we're playing against, a lower level team or maybe a team that might not be as good as past opponents. And you just keep the playbook vanilla or you don't try to evolve and do different things, That's really where I'm at. That's what I want to see.
I'm not worried about that more than I am in the injury thing. Because I think the creativity is there. I think
the amount of, like, you can't just say, double OG and we're good, right?
No, that's not anymore.
There's Allen, there's, Meeks and Haynes and Hatcher and Valari. And I mean, I think we're getting Justice Ross Simmons back this week.
Sweet.
So, I mean, you can't just say lock that 1 or 2 guy up and then we're good to go. So,
yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt, but Pena coming up big so far this year, and there's no signs of him slowing down. So,
not yet.
Okay, look, 2 teams with block S's on the helmets. Okay, nicknames that refer to colors, and both have questionable mascots to boot. So. Kind of an odd combination. And honestly, I mean, a tree though, I mean, you can make fun of Out of the Orange. And what is he? Is he a color? Is he a fruit? I mean, I guess he's a fruit. I hate to say it. I don't know. I mean, but what the hell is there's a tree? You're the cardinal.
Yeah. It's kind of, they should have done the same thing we did. And they should have just been the Cardinals.
Should have just had a bird.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we got a tree.
Fourth, but now, like, yeah,
it's I guess it's a sycamore tree, right?
Nah,
I guess, but it looks like a Christmas tree, huh?
It looks sick.
It looks sick, yeah, but it's a freaking Christmas tree. It's an undecorated Christmas tree at that.
Well, I just actually Googled it, and it is Stanford Cardinal for Cardinal Red, but it's also because Cardinals favor sycamore trees.
That's the dumbest thing. That's the dumbest mascot combination.
I just made that up. It's not true.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank God. I was thinking to myself, honestly, I really thought to myself, there's no way he Googled that fast. He can't type that quick.
There. I'm 1 finger at a time over here. I'm getting better.
Perhaps the beginning of a new era, a rare East-West rivalry, maybe. No games played between these 2 teams. Stanford enters this game at 1-1 under Coach Troy Taylor. I mean, he was a 1990 draft pick. I don't know how long he's been coaching, but he's been around the game for a while. He's competing in their first year in the ACC. They're looking to bounce back after a tough year last year under his young tutelage there. They're aiming to reestablish the program identity this year. Not much has changed with them, really. I mean, you've got Ashton Daniels, the quarterback of this team, and he leads the charge for Stanford. Dual threat guy again. This will be our 3rd one in a row. He's racked up 384 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception so far this season, while contributing 118 yards on the ground on 26 carries. He leads the team in rushing as well. And he does have the ability to extend plays, obviously, because of that. It can be a threat, okay? Let's just get all of the good stuff out here. their offense as a rising star, Alec. I knew I was going to pause here. Alec and Ayo Manor. Ayo Manor? Ayo Manor.
Ayo Manor.
Ayo Manor.
Yep.
Alec Ayo Manor. Okay. Yep. He's coming off a breakout season. He accumulated 147 receiving yards so far this year, but 0 touchdowns. Expect him to be the primary target. Deep route guy, third down guy, kind of the guy. So really, between those two, that's going to be your standard of offense as far as I see it so far this year. Defensively, they're anchored by linebacker. It's Gathan Bernadal, who posted 16 tackles so far and 1 sack. He's disruptive. He led the team last year with 45 tackles. Kyle McCord, additionally, we'll have to keep an eye on cornerback Colin Wright, who tallied 10 tackles and 1 interception so far this year. He's going to be looking to make plays against our receivers. And, those are kind of the two guys you got to look out. There's another one, too, that David Bailey, who has been, he's kind of a disruptor. I mean, I've seen his name a little bit, and he's mentioned. So, I mean, it's really difficult to really gauge what this team is. I was looking forward to the offseason to have, did I say offseason? To this bye week to have a look at Stanford, and ironically enough, they were also off. So the O-line, Kyle McCord, they're gonna have to do their job. I think Kyle McCord is poised to pick up where he left off. There's no reason for me to believe that he's not going to just continue being the guy that he's been being. So David Bailey, though, he's their best pass rusher. He tallied 5 sacks last year. He hasn't tallied 1 this year, but he did lead the team last year in sacks. So, and then, as far as matchup goes, you got this Ayo Manor, big play potential guy, preventing the deep threat, because that's where they're going to go, I feel like. And in case you're wondering, transfer from Syracuse, Justin Lamson, in his second year with Stanford, was 1-for-1 passing for 2 yards and rushed for 8 times for 14 yards so far this year. But last year, he led the team in rushing with 334 yards. He's kind of like a gadget guy in there. And he actually had to step in a quarterback a few times. He tallied 504 passing yards. So
yeah, he ran one inning earlier in the year against TCU, the first game.
Yeah, so good to see him doing that. Those 334 yards came on about 120 carries. So just he's run a little bit this year. They throw him in there. Just looking at the box scores these games, I can't get much out of it, but it looks like they threw another quarterback in at some point against what was it?
Cal
Poly. Yeah. Anyway, I mean, it's hard reading things and trying to do research that way without seeing this stuff, because you're only purely going off numbers and what people have produced so far this year. But I don't think Stanford really poses a threat for us. However, never look past the team. But like I said, I think it's going to be chalk for this game. It's just there are some guys that can make some plays, and they probably will make some plays. But with that said, that also opens up, like we used to talk about last year or the year before with Gadsden. You're not just going to be able to. It opens up opportunities for other guys. So who knows? Yeah.
I mean, look, I looked back. I watched the first game against TCU. It was 34-27. Watched the first drive. I mean, Stanford basically scored a touchdown because of the penalties. I mean, there was just holding penalties and just pass interference penalties all over the place. TCU ended up with TCU they gave the ball up twice, and they had 7 penalties for 100 yards. But when you look at like the overall total of yards, I mean, I don't even think Stanford broke like 300, and they had like 457. So that game really wasn't as close as the score really showed it. I think that they're just TCU kind of just they're lucky that they didn't mess the game up for themselves, but they could have easily handled them a lot easier. As far as the Cal Poly goes, they won that game 41-7. Stanford was only up 14-7 at halftime. Cal Poly's an FCS school, a D1AA school. So when you look at it baseline with the 2 games that we have, which is hard, they really don't look that great, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, maybe their defense is a little bit better than what we think. I mean, TCU normally has a good offense, but ACC, it's not the same. We've DJU at Florida State. I mean, he was not good at Clemson. Went to Oregon State in the Pac-12, had a great year, and it was good enough to get him to come back to Florida State on a NIL deal. And now he's back at playing ACC defenses again, and it's not turning out well for him. So,
I mean,
Josh, this is their first game in the ACC.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, and I don't know who TCU is this year, but they've been decent past couple years, and they tossed for 350 yards, over 350 yards against Stanford's defense. The thing about, and I don't know if you saw anything, but the thing I noticed with Stanford is there was not a whole lot of movement in and out of this team. There was E.J. Smith, who is Emmitt Smith's son on this team last year. Mm-hmm. He had the third most rushing yards to finish the season, and the two in front of him were Ashton Daniels and Justin Lamson. So they're not like they don't have a traditional running game. And you just look at the box scores, and it's Ashton Daniels, and you see Justin Lamson pop up, but it's not a traditional run game. I just don't think that Syracuse is going to fall for this. I think it's going to be very hard for Stanford to get creative enough, and that's why I think this Ao Minor is going to be, he could pose a problem, and I think he'll probably do something, but at the end of the day, I feel like they'll be ready for it. It's the main target on this team. It's like he's the most talented guy on offense besides Ashton Daniels.
Right, and it kind of speaks the same kind of language to me as like Ohio, right, where they had that one good receiver, the one running back, and then a running quarterback. I mean, they haven't really shown anything else. It goes back to what we talked about, evolution and getting other people, evolving as an offense and being deep and getting everybody involved. It's a lot easier on our end and on our defensive end to say, okay, we stopped this guy and this guy, we're good, versus, what we've seen from Syracuse up to this point. I don't see that defense stopping it. And I'm sure we're going to throw a couple wrinkles in after having a bye week. And I'm sure they'll come with some surprises too. That's what makes the early season games so intriguing and hard to read, because there's not a lot of tape. And some of those teams are still trying to figure out, what they want to do, who's going to play where, their definition of a team, who's going to be the team, who's going to step up. And sometimes it takes weeks for some teams, but when we looked at Syracuse, looked like Kyle McCord had those guys running pretty much like a well-oiled machine. And you can definitely argue that Georgia Tech's better than Stanford. So
they're on the same page. Our offense is on the same page.
Yeah. And there's a lot of pages.
Yeah. I mean, you got this the one guy I mentioned, the Colin Wright cornerback. I mean, he's kind of their anchor back there. They're going to put him on, Pena, Gadsden, wherever they think he's going to be the best. But, I mean, that's one guy. We have so many targets.
Yeah, and we move them around all over the place.
Yeah, it's not going to be a problem to spread the ball. And even if you stay away from Collins. So I just don't see it being an issue. It's a good game, I guess, to get our feet wet again. First ever game in the series, kind of a historical game, so to speak. I still don't like Stanford, SMU, Cal in the ACC.
Hey, look, they might not be there that long, so you never know.
True. I guess we don't know, right? It's too fluid.
They announced, the Pac-12 announced they're trying to make a comeback, so they have Oregon State and Washington State still that just haven't found that, they didn't get picked up from another conference, but they're talking about 2026 picking up like 4 to 6 teams from the Mountain West, Boise State, San Diego State, some of those bigger teams. And they feel like if they get a solid enough core that some of those teams might come back. So might be short-lived, right? But at the end of the day, man, I want to see a damn sellout. I want to see a sellout. It's going to be tough because, Friday night high school sports, get it. But it's like we're undefeated. We had to wait a whole week to play. Team's looking better. Stanford's first time we were ever playing them, and they're coming to the Dome, and it's their first ACC game. So we got to do it right. We got to go in there and we got to send them on their way.
Yeah, I mean, give them the old.
Isn't that crazy though? First game that we played them ever in the history of the schools. It's their first ACC game. It's kind of nuts.
It's kind of nuts, but it makes sense.
Yeah. Geographically,
I mean, that's how it's been for the past, I don't know, my lifetime. Our lifetimes.
But you never would have figured they would have never played in like a non-conference game or a bowl game.
I mean, I mean, I guess the chances of a bowl matchup is probably a little bit more far-fetched than maybe a bowl game or than a non-conference game. I mean, you would think maybe at some point you'd have some East-West matchups. Just, I guess maybe we're just not one of those teams that does a lot of that. I have no idea.
That's an interesting thing we could do too. Because I don't know how many times we played UNLV. I don't know how many times we played Cal, which we'll find out this year. But even an SMU. So you throw all four of those teams in. I mean, how many of these games that we play this year are going to be like first time seeing a team? That's like the weird thing to me. And the fact that we have two West Coast road trips in a regular season is crazy to me too. So
we've never played UNLV.
Well, there you go.
So, yeah.
Right. So, and I mean, we talked to Tyler, and he said the last time they went to the West Coast was back. When was it? When Marone was the coach. When we went to USC.
SMU versus Syracuse, one game. It's 1932.
Holy shit!
And SMU won 16-6.
This is a great year.
It was a great year for SMU football.
For everybody, we were recovering from
the plague,
the plague,
the Black Plague,
the Dust Bowl.
I mean, what the hell? Cal and Syracuse, they're 1-1. Last time played they played in 67 and 68.
Oh, jeez.
So 1-1. But the last time we played them, though, they really did whoop up on us in 68, 10 years before I exited the womb, 43-0. So, so anyway, all right, let's get your thoughts.
It's time to hear from you, the loudmouths from the Loud House.
All right, you guys know what to do. It was a little late today, my apologies, but it went up nonetheless, and that is asking for your final score prediction of Stanford at Syracuse this coming Friday at 7:30. And we didn't do too bad. I posted this at 4:48, and we have 27 replies on Twitter. I don't know what you got on Facebook. I did it there too. My guess is under 10 would be my guess, because Facebook sucks and they hate us. And I love all of you who participated, but those who added meat to their sheet, I love you more. So here we go. Let's start. And I don't have a score written down. This is the second week in a row I've done this. And, well, gosh darn it, it's tough to come back after just nailing one perfectly. And it makes you second guess yourself a little bit. So I'll get to that in a minute. But let's start here. I'm just going to do these first couple because they're regulars. At Cuse Mojimbo, 45-13 Syracuse. Nothing else added, but I'm going to give him a pass on that because Jimbo is always in the comments, and I love him for that. At Jeff Abromo, 34-20. Stanford plays tough, but Cuse covers. Another semi-regular there. And then we've got at Cuse Waterboy. And, oh boy, he gets the cheers. All right. McCord lights it up for 3 TDs before the half, and then we ground and pound the trees into sawdust in the second half with Allen, Nixon, and Willis. Second string defense gives up a score late, but the starters eat like hungry dogs, DAWGS. This may be the game where Diggs snatches a QB's soul. And he does have it. 44-17. Did I already say that? Because I almost missed it. 44-17, going with the 44. Got another one. 44-13. Everything. This is from @rboris9. Everything clicks into place. Kyle goes off on a long TD completions, compelling him, cementing him as a top QB in the country. Receivers all around the field, and LeQuint doing LeQuint things. Fidel inflicts damage. Starters take a breather in the third quarter, and Stanford gets some points. The last time I tried calling that starters coming out thing, I failed.
Yeah. Still D1, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah. At number one Cuse fan, 45-7, all orange right from the start. Quick passing touchdown from McCord to either Pena or OG, and not looking back from there, burying Stanford. Okay. Do you have anything with some meat? I got a few more.
Yeah, I mean, there's not.
That's disappointing. How many you got? 3?
10.
Oh, I said 10. Gosh, man, I'm good at this.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's 10. I mean.
Oh, good for you.
Good for you. Oh, not a lot of meat. There's only three with.
Well, give me something.
All right, top fan, Keith Williams Jr.
Thank you, Keith.
You got 42-17 Cuse. McCord goes for 350 and 4 more touchdowns.
Okay, that's not bad. At No Blanchard 44, 38-7. The Orange offense continues to click, and the defense only lets up 1 touchdown in garbage time. I'm thinking, dude. Honestly, man, this offense could struggle unless the secondary gets burned hard by Alec. Whatever.
Alec.
I am Manor. Which can happen, but I'm just saying. It's unlikely. I think they've got that covered. I feel like someone else is going to have to step up for Stanford to get one over, especially early. Or maybe they get it done early, and then from there, we've seen that. Not this year, but I'm saying we've seen.
Yeah, I just think even coming off of like a Georgia Tech team, I think Georgia Tech has more weapons than them. I think Georgia Tech's quarterback is a better running quarterback than this quarterback. So I don't think that they're going to bring anything to our defense that we haven't seen before.
David's funny. He is. Hold on. He's got one here.
Oh, we're live? I don't even know we're live.
No, we're not. We're not live. We're not live. I told you at the beginning of the show, Joe. Like I told everybody else. Live for the final segment.
Oh, okay.
For the fan feedback segment of the post-game show. I still have that in my head, live for the final segment of each show. But at David Super puts here, waiting patiently for Sean's score on this game so we can make some cash. And he's got some kind of Simpsons gif there. Somebody waiting patiently. Is it GIF or GIF? It's GIF, isn't it? You know why I think it's GIF? Because I say GIF, and I'm usually wrong.
I mean, it could be, but according to David, you're always right with your picks. So,
well, that's different. It's different. It's a numbers game, And
this
one's 50-50. What?
This one's 50-50.
Well, true. Which with odds.
I accept both pronunciations. So.
I do too, and I usually say GIF.
Me too.
Oh, you do too? Oh, okay.
Yeah, but normally it's GIF or GIF or whatever the hell it is. That's normally what I say, so that everybody understands what I'm talking.
So that no one corrects you, because you've already corrected yourself, and you let everybody know that you just corrected yourself, and you don't care what it is. You're not asking.
Exactly.
Right.
Pretty much.
Okay, I like that. I like that approach. At Baptized by Fire 7, 41-13 Syracuse. Stanford is not good passing team, but has an all-American wide receiver. The D takes advantage of this and causes 3 turnovers. That's the thing. Are we going to pick some balls off? Golly. I mean, it's a perfect opportunity to start picking some balls off.
Yeah, it happens eventually.
At David 7W. I think so. 45-24 Cuse. McCord carves up their secondary and throws for over 350. We see some Yassine Willis carries as well. Has McCord thrown for less than 350 yet?
No.
No, the answer is no. So what, 354 and then 380 something? Something like that.
Something like
so
30.
So yeah, David, I think you're right. I think he does throw for over 350 because he hasn't not yet.
There's no reason not to believe so, right? Especially considering what TCU did to Stanford as well. So
At Brendan.
I mean, Josh Hoover threw for over 300 yards. So
I know, and I mean, who's he? No offense, I'm just saying. I don't know. So, I mean, I know who he is, because I looked at the box score, but I'm just saying, I never heard of him. Syracuse is a much better team, but not ready to blow anyone out yet. Stanford can score some points and has good special teams, but Cuse wins 35-24. McCord throws for 3 touchdowns. Arande dominates their DBs, but Ashton Daniels burns them for a few long runs. I feel like Syracuse has been playing that game with the quarterback all year. Mm-hmm. And not for anything. It's only going to make them better. And they've had 2 weeks to prepare for us, but we've had 2 weeks to prepare for them. I think our coaches are better and our players are better. And I don't know if they can prepare for everything we can throw at them. I mean, you're looking at, use the analogy 6 and 1, half a dozen in the other. You're looking at 6 and 1 and a dozen in the other. I mean, it's the dynamics of the teams are totally different. So many more options on offense for Syracuse. And I think that it's the defense's time to, like you said, Joe, evolve. It's time to start stepping it up, showing them what you got, and moving into Holy Cross, and then having to actually get on a plane and fly somewhere to UNLV to play a game there. So, and you got this week really to get it down. This is the last big test before UNLV. That's not saying much. Does that kind of make you nervous?
Sometimes the whole thing with these type of games are, okay, we got 2 weeks, right? And then we had the bye. So it's just like, okay, we're sitting around, and then it's like, okay, now we're at a game that we should win, or we're all expecting to win. And then it's Holy Cross where, okay, we're expecting to win. So now it's more or less like I'm looking at it down the line of having an expectation of being 4-0, and it's more or less, I'm looking forward to the games, no doubt, but it's more or less like, let's go in there, do our thing, no injuries, and let's get the hell out of there, because we need to be as good as possible come UNLV and NC State, right? Like, that's kind of where I'm at right now. So I'm at the expectation that we win these games, but these are also 2 games where we got to go in, you still got to hit, you still got to tackle, you still got to do all the things, and injuries do happen. So I'm not nervous about losing either of these 2 games. Could we come out a little flat because, we're overconfident? I don't think Fran allows them to do that. I still think that Kyle's chip and a lot of people's chips on their shoulders you got to think about that too. Kyle McCord with the chip on his shoulder, Aranda Gatson and Pena, they're sitting out, or they sat out last year with injuries. You got other guys coming from other schools that didn't get a chance to play. Now they're there. So there's so many guys that 2 games, that's not enough for them. So I don't think Fran, and plus with the coaching staff, I don't think they let them come out overconfident. But they got to go in, they got to do what they got to do and get it done and just not get injured. And that's the one thing that makes me nervous, is that we're staring down the barrel of a 4-0, possibly ranked. UNLV might be ranked, and a 9 p.m. kickoff on a Friday night, and probably going to be a highly watched game.
Yeah,
we don't need anything bad to happen the next 2 damn weeks.
That's right. It's not a 7:30 game. It's a 9 o'clock game.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be a late one that night.
Yeah. I don't usually make it past 10:30.
You might want to take a nap then.
Maybe I'll just like not crack a beer open until 9. My thing is like every Friday I'm either going to 1 or 2 places, and I always have like a heavy IPA, like tap.
Yeah.
Like I have a couple pints, right? You get primed up. It's within walking distance of the house. I ain't got to worry about too much. Get a couple pints, and then I maybe something.
Get some fish and chips.
You know, here's the thing. Once I'm not as big of a drinker as I used to be, because I'm a little older now, so I get tireder. I get more tireder quick.
There it is.
But I'll do a couple pints and I can't eat, because if I eat, I'm definitely going to bed. So to try to alleviate going to bed too early, I just don't eat. And then what ends up happening is it 2 IPAs deep. Now I'm like, well, I should have some pizza or something. You know, try to soak some of this up before I go home. And then I'm like, whatever. And then by 10 o'clock, I'm like, it's bedtime. That's it. So it's going to be a tough one for me to stay up for. Like I said, I'll just have to.
You have to kick that routine that day.
The nap's not a bad idea. So,
throwing it out there.
Okay. And then here's the other thing. You know, I enjoy a good cigar. So here's a good plan. If I want to stay up late, I light the cigar late. Because the cigar is going to take me a good hour and a half. So if I light up the cigar at 9, then boom, I'm to 10:30.
Shit, you wait till halftime, just at the end of the game.
That's true. That's going to be tough, though, to get to halftime. I might need 2 cigars. I got to stay up for that. Cigars and whiskey. That's my Friday night. Okay. Let's get into predictions.
No, I got a couple more.
Oh, you do? Oh.
Yeah, just real quick.
Joy. Okay.
Yeah. My brother Alex, 34.
It's just because blood relation. He's got to get his status back, I'm sure.
Yep. 34-28. Stanford is a pretty good football team. Key to this game is the turnover battle. Can't give them extra opportunities. So that's something different that we've heard. It's an interesting take. I'd like to know where he got that information from, or he's just looking at TCU game, or I don't know what that is. But
well, I mean, if you
still not a lot to go off of.
There's not a lot to go off of. They are not like widely written about. You go off of the numbers, and you go off a little bit of what you can find. Oh my gosh, Dylan, my son, sent me a prediction. He's supposed to be working. This is way too long to read, but I'm gonna have to do it because I told him I'd do it. He's supposed to be here. He was gonna get on the microphone and everything and give his analysis to you. And I haven't heard it, so.
Well, let me just do this last one, and you can do his last. Okay.
All right,
so, top fan, Andy Stewart, our boy. 41-19, Syracuse.
That's it?
No. Syracuse offense dominates this game. Will determine how well Syracuse defense has improved since week 1 and how well they'll be playing moving forward. Stanford has talent on offense, so things could be closer if the defense doesn't play well, which would indicate we may be offense dependent more than we were used to last year, or more than we're used to normally this year. So he's saying 41-19, and I guess that would be kind of a good, I think that we saw a step up. Ohio ran on us pretty bad. Marlowe got hurt. We had to do something to figure it out. We figured it out. We held Georgia Tech. I mean, it was a great defensive display as far as holding them to the rushing yards that they did. And I think this is a very similar team, and I think that we can build off of that. And I think that Andy kind of sees the same thing, 41-19, if we can build off of that. But if not, then it could be closer, like my brother said, right? 34-28. I mean, this is only what I think right now it's Syracuse is a 9-point favorite, the over-under being 58.
9 points, that's it?
I mean,
Huh? Are you going to speak?
it's a touchdown, almost a touchdown and a field goal. So, I mean, yeah, but.
Oh, man. Make me second guess my life right now. The part of my life where I picked the score. That part of it.
Yeah.
Well,
Isn't it
okay.
your turn?
Huh? Okay. Well, he's going to give his score. Yeah. So I'm going to write his score down. He wants in on this because I don't know if he listens to the show. In fact, I don't think he does, but he is, the kid has been waiting for Syracuse football to be good for so long. He was more ready for football season than Joe, I would say. And that's saying a lot. Maybe not as much as Joe, but he was right there neck and neck with Joe, waiting for Syracuse football to start, the summer to be over. He didn't give a crap. He wanted to watch this team play. He wanted to watch Kyle McCord. He wanted to see Aronde Guess and Trevor Pena come back. He wanted to see this defense evolve. He wanted to watch this team. He's super excited. So he's like, I want to get it on the podcast. So here's what he texted me. After reviewing the Stanford versus TCU game, I noticed that Stanford's run defense seemed okay, but pass defense from Stanford was lacking. The TC quarterback threw for over 300 yards and 2 TDs with almost 70% completion. Lots of big plays and leaving the receivers open in the middle of the field, which is going to be good for Syracuse offense. And Gadsden and McCord should have a field day with it. Also, LeQuint should be open in the flat, often for checkdowns for big yardage. On offense, Stanford's big key is their QB's mobility. He's quick and improvs a lot due to the lack of play from their O-line. Mediocre passer, but very quick and can make plays with his feet if the defense is caught off guard. Their run game was decent, and their receivers can make plays if given the opportunity. So the best thing for Syracuse would be to create pressure and contain the QB. I think that the Syracuse pass game should show out, especially at home. Final score, Syracuse 38, Stanford 24. And then he says, is that meaty enough for you? Because I asked for meat. That's too much.
That's damn good, Dylan.
Not bad.
Damn good job.
Not bad, but got to live up to the old man standards. I mean, guessing final scores left and right here. I had 2-0 for the year on Joe. So
what was his pick?
38-24, Syracuse.
Oh.
So my prediction, I'll receive. Home field advantage again, momentum at their back, 2-0. I think that Stanford's, they do have a mixed attack. I think Syracuse has seen those bag of tricks, like Joe said, from better teams. And I think that they're going to be well prepared for this, being at their first 2 games and also having a two-week break. I think they're going to be able to handle it. Not saying it's going to be contained the whole time, but I think they're going to be able to handle it. Especially with Syracuse's, I mean, the offense for Syracuse is just glorious. I mean, it's so balanced and it's so good. It's what is Kyle McCord for the season? What is he percentage-wise for the season? Let me look at this real super quick. 69.4% for the year so far. That's awesome.
Is that good?
That's good. Pushing 70% for the year. I mean, the way that this offense is run and the way that Kyle McCord commands the field is, I mean, it's just so awesome. I can't say enough about it. I'm going to stop, but I don't have to stop there. I could keep going. With that said, this offense, I don't think that Stanford's defense is going to be able to stop this offense. I think they're going to score points. I don't know if I'm not going to make any predictions on anybody getting pulled or anything like that, but I think that, well, maybe that does happen. I say 45-17, Syracuse.
Ooh.
I do. That's why your spread scared me a little bit.
No, it's just Vegas. It doesn't mean shit.
I know. But I think 45-17, and, you know, I hope I don't just, like, destroy my reputation with that. But yeah, exactly. I don't know. I'm just playing.
Your reputation with what?
It's not funny. It's
David.
Not funny.
Yes, David's pumping me up too much, man. It's too much pressure, bro. Stop doing that. I appreciate it, but don't. It's too much pressure, and I think I just screwed myself. 45-17, Joe. I'm sticking with it.
Your son said what?
How many times are you going to ask? 34-28.
Okay, that's the last time.
38-24. That's dyslexic.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
34-28 was
my brother Alex.
Scott, or Alex's, yeah. So,
yep.
My bad.
Okay. Yeah, no, you're good. I'm going to kind of go in between. I think, we scored 38 points against Ohio, scored 31 points against Georgia Tech. Could be a little bit more, but I think I'm going to kind of split the difference, and I'm going to keep your 17 with Stanford, but I'm going to go 35-17 Syracuse.
Okay. All right. So this is going to be a big deal for me if I can get close to this. But
it's all going to come down to what Syracuse scores.
It's all going to come down. It's really going to be the first half. Really. Well, maybe not. Yeah, kind of.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I personally think that as much as you got to think about it, this offense has been good, but how many, we've established drives and we go down and score with consistency, which is harder to do.
We burn clock too.
But how many times have we done, how many times have we thrown a bomb and the receiver gets by everybody and they run for a 50, 60, 70 plus yard touchdown or a running back breaking out? We haven't done that yet.
I know. That's what I'm saying. We burn clock. We burn too much clock.
And I'm not saying you do that on purpose. I mean, no. Obviously you want to be purposeful. You take what they give you, but I'm saying that those plays are coming.
Oh, you're making an argument for that to be happening.
Yes. I'm saying that at the same time, you're not crazy for thinking 45, because when you look at it, Georgia Tech, they kind of ran the clock down a little bit, and barring a couple different things like a blocked field goal and possibly another possession with, an onside kick or something like that, we could have scored more points. Ohio, we only had 3 plays in the first quarter, still scored 38, and we didn't have one of those, send it to the house, one play, 80-yard touchdown. I think that those over-the-top plays that people have been seeing in college football to Zeke Haynes and some of these other guys, I think that those are coming. But it's just, I'm more happy to see them go through and get first down after first down, no matter the yardage. Before it was okay, we got to run, we got to get manageable. If it's 3rd and 10, I'm still not scared with this team, with this offense.
Yeah, we saw 3rd and 16, just about in field goal range. And instead of doing some BS run up the middle just to gain a few yards and settle for 3 points, it was in the pass to the end zone. Trevor Pena. I love that. Yep. They're not afraid to do it, and them being not afraid to do it gives this team confidence instilled in them by the coaches to call a play like that and execute it.
And there's a lot of teams out there that they can't efficiently and consistently get first down after first down, go down and score touchdowns and put points on the board. They actually rely on the big plays, which is why they take so many big opportunities for big plays. And just the fact that we don't even have to do that. The fact that our offense, not this year, not one time have I seen a situation where our offense is kind of playing, I don't want to say scatterbrained, but almost desperate. You know what I mean? It has never been a situation where our offense has been out there playing desperate, having to throw the ball down to this or down to that, or having to get a bomb, things like that. So every week you see those type of offenses that have getting put in a position of desperation to where they got to just take big shots because they just cannot get consistent chunks and consistent first downs to go down the field. And that is completely the opposite of this offense.
Yeah.
It's been a long time we've had an offense like this.
It's been a long time. It's not even some people haven't even seen this in their lifetimes, bro.
Dungy was the closest one, but it wasn't the same.
Not the same, dude. Not even close.
You look at it. We had Steve Ishmael, we had Irv Phillips, we had Mo Neal, we had Eric Dungy who could make some plays, Dante Strickland. So, we had players, but yeah, it's definitely not the same. Like I said, I saw it in person. His arm is not the same. The quarterback play is just not the same.
No, and I mean, you want to say, okay, it's the closest thing. Okay, well, all right, fine, but that just it's miles apart.
I mean, it's the closest thing that's in efficiency that I've seen, but not. It wasn't the same way.
You got to go back to McNabb, in my opinion, to be close to what we got now. I mean, that's the closest.
That was completely different because they ran read option, pass option. Like, it was completely different.
Right, but he was still a pocket passer. I mean, he was still a good pocket passer.
He was a decent pocket passer, but a lot of that wasn't what they were doing. I mean, McNabb, I'm pretty sure he didn't break a lot of passing records in Syracuse.
No, I don't think he broke any. Right?
Because he was just running around like a madman.
Yeah.
Same thing with Marvin Graves, and same thing with Don McPherson, all those guys. You know, they were running the option, and there were quarterbacks that were dual threats. I don't know the last time. Like I said, I think the closest is Nassib.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I think I already gave you that one, the Nassib one. It's just Nassib, I don't think, was as talented as Kyle McCord.
Well, he didn't have the same players around him either.
I know that, but I'm just saying. Nassib, I remember watching Nassib. Those were frustrating times, too.
Oh, I mean, some of them, yeah. But at the end of the day, we still did good enough to get Doug Marrone a head coaching job for the Buffalo Bills after that Greg Robinson tenure. Realistically, like I said, I mean, you look at it, Kyle McCord's got Arondé Gatz and Ryan Nassib had Alec Lemon. So it's a little bit of a difference there. Just saying.
It is. It is. Well, then it's fair. Then it could be fair to say, really, that there's really nothing been like this.
That's, yeah. It's kind of what I was.
Is that where we're going to land? We can land there because I'm fine with that. Because that's kind of what I said in the beginning of the show. It's like we haven't seen this in our lifetimes.
There's a lot of people that haven't seen them in their lifetimes. I mean, that's, you go back to even the days when we won the national. I mean, it was Jim Brown. It was running the ball. There wasn't a lot of passing like this.
Yeah.
So, exactly. I mean, you just an argument that we have like the best like pro style pocket passer quarterback that we've had. And then that's not to take anything away from Donovan McNabb, and he obviously figured it out and made a hell of a career for himself in the NFL. But he's been the only one. We've had great college quarterbacks due to their dual threat talents. But you take away Donovan McNabb, what other Syracuse NFL quarterback do you remember, or do you know?
I don't know.
Because I don't know if there is one.
I don't know one.
I mean, Nassib, he got drafted, and he was like a backup for a couple different teams, the Giants and stuff like that, but he didn't have the career of like a Donovan McNabb, right? I mean, realistically, you could argue.
Right. I mean, you're kind of helping me out, my point out a little bit. You're at least giving me some backup on my point.
I'm giving you a shit ton of backup because realistically, when you look at it, there's an argument that Tommy DeVito could be the second best NFL quarterback Syracuse has ever had.
It's true. It's true.
Because he's put up more burn than Nassib. I mean, Nassib was in the league for longer as far as DeVito right now. But I mean, that's what we're looking at right now. So
I'm not. Yeah, okay. I'm not laughing to be mean. By the way, that's funny. I'm just saying. What happened to DeVito? Where is he?
He's still at the Giants.
Is he?
I think so.
The Giants. God.
I think. Now you got me looking it up.
Just like the whole like theatrical thing with the agent and the autograph sessions. It was such a show. It was so goofy, man. So goofy.
Dude, he's doing what he's got to do to make money. Come on, look where he's from.
I get it, dude, but it's so goofy.
Like,
Tell me that's
NFL with like Jersey Shore vibes.
You got to have a mobster as your agent. And he's got to follow you around like he's your bodyguard.
Jersey Shore vibes. That's where he's from, bro. Like that's just
so goofy.
And he's the third quarterback. This past week, he was the designated as the Giants' emergency third quarterback for the game against Washington. So he's still on the Giants.
Oh, I think he's getting paid. Something. He's making more than I'm making.
You ain't lying.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying it's goofy.
I didn't bring that up to make fun of him. I brought it up to make fun of. I mean, honestly,
I know
the lack of NFL quarterback history for Syracuse.
You just put things into perspective, which is why it was funny. I wasn't laughing at Tommy DeVito, but you intentionally put things into perspective using him as the focal point, which is that's to make a point. You used him, and it was a good point, but you used him, and it was funny because we all get the point.
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, all right, that's gonna wrap this thing up. Okay, look, really appreciate all of you for tuning in today to the Cuse Militia. All right, if you like it, which I doubt it, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, rate us, review it, subscribe, all that stuff, share it. We appreciate you. We don't know how much longer this thing's gonna last, so enjoy it. For Joe, I'm Sean. We're out.
Peace.
We may get canceled. Who knows?
Well, look, at the end of the day, if you're still listening, you probably like us.
True, and you can't cancel us, by the way. It's not a thing.
Yeah, because we're already shadow banned.
Only on Facebook. Twitter seems to work fine.